This morning's newspaper. Holmes, have you read this article about you?
No, Watson, not yet, and I won't have time to.
Read it before you leave. It's outrageous.
If you insist.
Read the paper, Holmes.
Prince Woodville, French culinary expert and bagpipe player, might be our next king. That's not so shocking, my dear fellow.
You know exactly to which article I'm referring, Holmes. How can Farley dare to tarnish your reputation like that?
You know, Watson, that wherever glory walks, jealousy is bound to follow. As for the forgery of the necklace, I suspect that we shall soon be enlightened in this regard. Come in, Inspector Baines, the door's open.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. How did you know I was here?
You are one of our rare visitors who avoids the second-to-last step of the stairs, which creaks dreadfully. And if I add the clinking of the handcuffs at your belt, to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit, Inspector?
Have you read that rag?
Inspector, can you explain this slander? Has the necklace of the Samoas really been replaced by a fake?
I don't know how the reporter got hold of the information, but it's true. About the necklace, of course. I wouldn't permit myself to question the integrity and honesty of Mr. Holmes.
The necklace is a forgery? Impossible! I saw the Marquis authenticated before my very eyes, before Holmes returned it to its place.
Mr. Holmes, the Marquis believes Osmond Farley's theory. I shouldn't be surprised if the reporter isn't behind all this slander about you. He's a freelancer, well known for his explosive and subjective articles. In any case, the Marquis assures us that you were the last person to have the necklace in your hands.
Let's return to the Marquis's house, Holmes. I'm sure that we'll have no trouble in taking apart this theory.
It is unnecessary. Such allegations collapse on their own, like one of Mrs. Hudson's soufflés. Let us leave the police to solve this problem and turn our attention to the matters in hand.
Perhaps you are right, Holmes.
Inspector, I assume that you have the fake necklace with you. It's why you're here. Your superiors would like me to examine it.
Indeed. They would like you to confirm or deny putting this fake in the box.
Can't that wait? I must go to the house of Lord Peregrine Maitland, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. And the Marchioness?
She is beside herself. Without the necklace, her marriage is compromised. It is the principal item of the young woman's dowry.
What a lovely marriage. Holmes, forgive me for insisting, but don't you want to examine the fake jewellery?
Watson, I have an appointment, and it's out of the question that I arrive late.
It will only take you a couple of minutes. You really must quell the suspicions put forward in this appalling article. If you will allow me, Inspector?
Be my guest.
Very well.
What do you think, Holmes?
These 3 pearls are of poor quality. This pearl is a different color. This pearl is too small. It is not in its place here. Too many defects. This necklace is a fake. This is nothing but a vulgar copy, and at a glance it would appear that the forger has intended for it to be seen as such.
How could we have been fooled by such a blatant imitation? I don't understand.
Yes, how is it possible? Holmes, do you have a theory about this?
I have absolutely no idea. You insisted that I examine the necklace, and I have done so. Now it is important that I keep my appointment. I'm sure, Inspector, that you will throw some light on this affair.
Holmes.
You may accompany me, Watson, if you care to do so.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I'll keep you informed as to my inquiries.
Goodbye, Inspector. You mentioned a bishop, didn't you? Are we going to his home?
Yes, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. I put his address on our map of London on my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
All right, Holmes. I have found your map.
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the Bishop of Knightsbridge?
Yes. Yes, of course. But come in.
What has happened, Reverend?
What?
I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God, how horrible. I haven't called anyone. How did you know that?
Holmes, look!
The Bishop, appallingly mutilated.
How dreadful.
Mutilated. And killed. He was such a good man. How could anyone be so brutal? Look at him. He is barely recognizable now. How could any of God's children be responsible for that?
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend. Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
No, Reverend. I am Sherlok Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
In that case, I must ask you to leave, and not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question! I don't even know you! I'm going to call the police, whether you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one. Therefore, we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain. The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen, and indeed, it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson. Do continue. This stove is filled to overflowing. The fingers have been crushed and violently struck. The fingers have been crushed and violently struck.
His stomach is covered in scratches. Quite evidently, they weren't made recently.
So, these wounds were not made by his murderers. His forearms have been ripped, pieces of skin have been torn off. What do you think, Watson?
I'd say that he was eaten alive. Yet I've noticed a curious degeneration of the skin tissue around the wounds.
A piece of rope that was used to tie up that poor man.
His feet have been burned.
My first impression is that he wears a size 9 shoe.
You! But what does it matter, Holmes? This poor man was tied just below the knees.
To stop him from walking, certainly, but mostly to free his feet. These burns are terrible.
My God, Holmes, this man was horribly tortured.
A finger. Apparently it doesn't belong to the Bishop of Knightsbridge.
How dreadful. His chest has been lacerated, I would say, with a very sharp and fine blade. You can see by his expression that he suffered terribly.
His mouth is covered in blood, and I can make out strips of skin between his teeth. My dear friend, everything points to this man having gnawed at his own forearms.
That's unbelievable, Holmes. You can see by his expression.
His mouth is covered. Something is missing here.
Oh, yes? And what might that be?
His shoes. Watson, his shoes are missing.
A broken bottle of whiskey. However, the Bishop of Knightsbridge was known for his sobriety.
A bottle of whiskey. I can make out fingerprints stained with blood and dirt.
It would seem that the brutes who tortured the bishop to death were intoxicated with alcohol.
There is blood on this paperweight. This paperweight was used to crush the victim's fingers. A broken phial and blood near the neck.
What a strange smell. Phew. Chemical components, I think.
The picture of Peregrine Maitland, commander of the infantry brigade of Her Majesty's Guards at Waterloo.
The Bishop of Knightsbridge has the same name as his ancestor, an illustrious family.
It's a cilice designed to bruise the person wearing it. The bishop wore it as repentance.
A whip?
No, it is a discipline for self-flagellation. This very pious man must have had the habit of mortifying his flesh as a means of repentance. I need something. I need something. Reverend, I'm missing something, an implement with which to open this chest. Could you tell me where to find it?
No! Go to the devil!
What are you afraid of, Reverend? What is inside the chest?
I'm not afraid of anything. In fact, I do have the necessary implements, but if I have to give them to anyone, it will be to a representative of the law and no one else.
This door has not been forced. Where does it lead, Reverend?
To His Excellency's room. There is just a mattress and a stool.
The bishop's bedroom. It is very austere. Nothing in particular here.
A surgical scalpel covered in blood. There isn't any doubt. The wounds on the bishop were administered with this scalpel.
Closed. The veranda door hasn't been forced. Strange. Reverend, might I have the key?
No! You have no authority here. Let me call the police.
Perhaps we should listen to him, Holmes.
Perhaps you should let me get on with this, Watson. Closed.
What do you think, Holmes?
You have no right to search here.
Watch where you're putting your feet, Watson. Have you noticed these prints upon the ground?
Well, yes, those muddy marks.
See here, Watson, footprints can often provide more vital information than the very best of informants.
Yes, if you know how to make them talk, that is.
It's child's play, Watson. We will begin by excluding the contaminating prints, which are yours and mine from where we came in, and those of our dear Reverend who was so impatient to call the police. This print came from an expensive pair of shoes, and it seems recent. It is not a laborer's shoe. Hobnail boots like those worn by laborers. A fragment of stone. Peculiar. Hobnail boots like those worn by laborers. Size 9.5. Size 9. Size 9. Size 9. Size 9. Size 9.5. That's not right. Start again. That's not right. Start again. That's not right. Start again. Strange but true. One of the crooks was wearing a different pair of shoes when he left here. Perfect. We now know that there were 3 crooks. Therefore, we have 3 men who came in and left again, but one of them was wearing a different pair of shoes from the ones which he came in with.
So, all we have to do is look for a workman who likes Italian shoes. A whip?
No. This metal rod is for fastening the chilies. Perfect. It is evident that the Bishop of Knightsbridge's killers were after something specific, and that they did not find it. Reverend, I shall ask you one more time. Open the chest. The item they were seeking must still be inside. It is unlikely that they will let this matter rest. They will most certainly return to finish what they started.
And I'm telling you once more, the chest is locked and shall remain so.
Very well. We have reached an impasse. You are a stubborn man, Reverend. Watson, accompany our friend to the police station and return with Inspector Baines. Baines and no one else. I shall wait for you here. Go. Alone at last. Now I can continue my investigation. Alone at last. Now I can continue my investigation. Impossible to open it. I need something. 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 This lock should be easy to pick. Let's see. This lock should be easy to pick. Let's see. That's not right. Start again. 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 That's not right. That's not right. Stop. That's not right. Start again. That's not right. 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 Start again. That's not right. There we are. It is simplicity itself. There isn't anything much in this room. It must be used as a reading or meditation room. An ink stain, quite fresh. This stain is just on the edge of the rug. Let's see. There is nothing on the floor, yet the ink must have soaked through the rug. There is nothing on the floor, yet the ink must... An ink stain. An ink stain. This inkwell was tipped over recently. The ink stain on the floor comes from the ink on the rug, but they are not in the same place. Someone has moved the rug recently. That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chessboard. That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chessboard. I need something. Apparently, someone wanted to hide this statue. This horse resembles a large chess piece. There is a message underneath this statue. Let's see. This message was written by a woman, but for whom was it intended? Interesting, this chess game. This last piece should be the good one. It will have to be pulled free. I need something. A packet of letters addressed to the Reverend. They were written by a woman who mentions his illegitimate children. Their affair isn't official. Perfect. I have you now, my wayward Reverend. Ah, Watson. You were gone a terribly long time, and Inspector Baines isn't with you.
I'm afraid not, Holmes. We were unable to find him.
Dr. Watson would not allow me to contact any inspector other than this Baines. What manners! I am a man of the church.
My dear Reverend, I notice that you are a chess lover. I trust you will excuse me, but I am never able to resist the appeal of a half-finished game.
You are an expert at chess. Very well, then. What do you want now?
As you might have guessed, resolving your small chess problem has allowed me to discover some very interesting letters.
Letters? What do they say?
Reverend, why hide these letters here and run the risk of the bishop finding them?
Holmes, what's in the letters?
Not now, Watson.
Where else could I have hidden them? My own chambers are too austere. They could offer no cover. I knew, however, that His Excellency, may he rest in peace, would not notice my game.
The contents of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's chest interest me greatly. Give me the elements you hold, Reverend.
Out of the question.
Do you understand that you are the prime suspect in this terrible murder?
What? But that's ridiculous.
Think for one moment, who profits from this crime?
Not me.
I think so, yes. With the Bishop of Knightsbridge no longer here, you are now the apostolic director of the diocese, are you not?
Yes, until another incumbent is appointed, but
A position which should logically come to you. The police will not overlook that.
they will never believe you.
But of course they will. Do not forget who I am, Reverend.
You are odious. Here are the stems that you were looking for. You have one.
Evidently, as I always do. What are you able to tell us about the Bishop of Knightsbridge's last days? Did anyone come to visit him? Did he seem worried, anxious? Do not omit the smallest detail.
His nephew came to see him yesterday at His Excellency's request. I found this visit a little peculiar because the young man rarely visits his uncle.
Do you know why that might be? Were they on bad terms?
I don't think so. It's rather a consequence of his work. The young man is employed within the archive section of the Royal Library, which doesn't leave him with a lot of free time.
Do you know the reason for his summons?
No, but the conversation was very heated. It only lasted for a few minutes and ended with the nephew in a terrible rage.
Interesting.
I've answered your questions. Will you now let me contact the authorities?
I'm afraid not, Reverend. Not just yet. All right, now we can open the safe. Now I can open the chest. Here we are. I am eager to discover what remarkable treasure could justify such an act of barbarity.
Extraordinary.
This chest is impenetrable. How is it possible? No one other than the bishop should be able to open it.
You open the chest with disconcerting ease, Holmes.
I've seen and heard quite enough. This time you won't stop me.
Catch him, Watson.
What the? But why?
Run, Watson. Hurry.
He's escaped. I hope that your motivations are founded, Holmes. I don't much like skirting around the edges of the law like this.
It is annoying. Let's leave without delay.
What have you found in the chest, Holmes? What in there is so precious for these men to commit such terrible acts?
The Reverend was telling the truth. Nothing important was locked inside the chest, apart from a few religious items which are hardly worth stealing.
So, we haven't made any headway. Perhaps the police will.
By the time the police arrive, we shall be a long way from here, Watson. We are leaving.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Let us return to Baker Street as quickly as possible.